other than the fact that it's cool, it was a click, an inner click that you just know it's the right thing. And it wasn't rebellion, because people are like, you can't do both. How can you do this? But it was like, because it felt like I had to. It felt like I could breathe. That's like, to not do it would kill me. Like, I love chiropractic, don't get me wrong, and I think chiropractic is wonderful and I'm so excited about it. But if I had to not do chiropractic, I'd be okay. If I couldn't do the TCM in some form, I think that would crush me.
2, 3, breathe. This is Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, with Whitney Ann Jenkins. Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, where I bring on guests and we talk about the inner authentic voice. This week I have with me Dr. Elizabeth Langer, and she is a doctor of chiropractic and also acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. She received her Doctor of Chiropractic at the York Chiropractic College in Seneca Falls, New York, and she simultaneously completed her Master of Science in Acupuncture at the Fingerlakes School of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine. Because of this integration, Dr. Langer is able to combine the most effective elements of both Western and Eastern medicine, which is quite unique anywhere, but especially in a smaller conservative town. I discovered Dr. Langer when I was visiting my parents in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, taking a break from California during the pandemic, just to give myself a little more space to roam free and visit my family and not be so isolated during these times. And I was having some issues with the climate change and some digestive things. And so I sought out an acupuncturist and I met Dr. Langer, and she is so passionate about what she does. It's really contagious, and I just loved talking to her during my sessions, and it's always wonderful to find like-minded souls wherever you go. So I convinced her to come onto the podcast. So here is my conversation with Dr. Elizabeth Langer. What do you feel like it's like practicing in Saxonburg as opposed to a bigger city?
It's a lot easier.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody knows you. So marketing is like, you just go down to the coffee shop and you just strike up a conversation. All you really need is a smile to market in Saxonburg. I used to have a vegan restaurant, but they moved, which stinks. But, they have a natural little store down there, so it's not too bad. But Saxonburg's kind of like a special small town, I think.
Yeah. It seems to be like on the brink of wanting to experience different things.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Gilmore Girls? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. The one lady at the coffee shop, she's like, in a way, in a shy way, you and Emily are a little like Lorelai and Rory. And they laughed because of the coffee. And I said, and Emily has those big blue eyes. And I said, yeah, I just hope she doesn't turn into a shit like Rory did. I loved Rory for 4 years. Even after she did that something with Dean, I was like, oh, okay, well, mistakes. But then I was like, after Logan, I was like, I don't like her as much.
What are you doing? But I guess we all kind of go through that period of where we're like trying to experiment and find ourselves.
Yeah. But the bad thing is that whenever I still watch it, or I'll listen to it when I do billing, because it makes me feel calm, but it makes me drink more coffee. That and dead like me. I want coffee. Coffee calms me. I use it for calming. That's why I do it with my meditation in the morning.
I do that too.
Yeah. See, you have it. It's like you just inhale, exhale.
It just gives me a certain kind of focus.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yes.
Yeah, like clicks.
It's a ritual.
Ritual seems to be something that's very apparent in acupuncture. Yeah. So one of the questions that I usually ask my people on the podcast at first is, when is the first time you remember having your own individual thoughts as a person that wasn't influenced by your parents or like society, but you were like, oh, this is me? Do you have like a particular moment?
Because I was always very shy. And does rebellion count? Or is that kind of a counter influence?
I feel like that could count.
Okay.
Because there's something inside of you that's driving you to rebel, right?
My parents didn't make that big of a deal of it, but like when I was 8 years old, one of the girls wanted to be princesses. I wanted to be Lydia from Beetlejuice. I thought she was I just thought she was the coolest person. And I remember I put on my I had this black thing it was Halloween, and I just would wear it, and I'd be like, my whole life is a dark room, getting all dramatic. I don't know if it was a rebellion, and that and I wanted to marry Count Dracula.
Oh, wow.
So I know, but I because my parents never really discouraged it.
They were okay with you marrying Count Dracula? Yeah.
My mom even let me see the movie with Frank Langella because he was handsome. Because I think at first I was afraid of him, but then I thought he was handsome, so I was okay with it. I'm sure she fast forwarded through the naughty parts, but the other thing they didn't want me to do is I wasn't allowed to dye my hair, and I wasn't allowed to paint my room black.
Oh.
So anything permanent they didn't want, but I was allowed to kind of explore. So
interesting. You seem to be very passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
Was there a specific moment that brought you to discover that passion for traditional Chinese medicine? Yeah.
There was this place called the Shadyside Natural Food Center. I think it closed, but I'd always go there because when I was 14, I was a vegetarian, and I remember reading this little article about this woman in China. She was having open heart surgery. She didn't have any anesthesia, and they were just using acupuncture. And she was just smiling. And I mean, I probably, if I was having open heart surgery, I wouldn't want to be awake. But the thing of it is, I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I just remembered that power of it. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I was 14. But then when I was 17, I wanted to go into medicine. And I just remembered that. And I was like, I want to practice acupuncture when I become a doctor. So that was sort of how it tied into that.
Did you try acupuncture before you decided that's what you wanted to do?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. I actually did not have acupuncture until I was in graduate school. Believe it or not. But it felt right. Just felt like that's what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. And I needed to do it the real way. I didn't want to it's okay if people get the certificate, but it wasn't my path. I wanted to really get into it. And 3 years just isn't enough.
Yeah, what was it that drew you to it? Besides like the open heart surgery example, like that's pretty incredible in itself, but is there something specific that you feel drawn to about studying that?
Other than the fact that it's cool, it was a click, an inner click that you just know it's the right thing. And it wasn't rebellion, because people are like, you can't do both. How can you do this? But it was like, because it felt like I had to. It felt like I could breathe. That's like, to not do it would kill me. Like, I love chiropractic, don't get me wrong. And I think chiropractic is wonderful and I'm so excited about it. But if I had to not do chiropractic, I'd be okay. If I couldn't do the TCM in some form, I think that crushed me.
Yeah. Could you explain to the listeners who maybe don't really know what TCM is?
Oh, sure.
No, that's okay. Just to give like, I don't know, like kind of an elevator pitch for what it is.
Oh boy. I've never been good at those elevator pitches. But...
Or you can make it longer than that. But...
Okay. I'll have to like break the elevator and be like... So TCM stands for Traditional Chinese Medicine, and acupuncture is just like one part of it. But it was a type of medicine that was, I guess, founded in China, and I could really elaborate that technically I think it was influenced by India, but we'll stick with China for right now.
Okay.
And it's thousands of years old, but it's based on this element. It's called qi. Spelled in, I guess, in here, the West would be like CHI, but in China, I think they spell it, well, with the QI. And it's just the energy that's needed to make things work. And it goes beyond just our bodies. It goes into like your computer, the microphone, the car. So I guess like if your car breaks down, your car has bad chi or something.
Well, we're in Mercury retrograde night right now, so.
Oh, really? Knock on wood.
Very relevant.
Oh my gosh. But basically with traditional Chinese medicine, it's to restore the balance and natural circulation and flow of qi throughout your body.
So would you say qi is energetic?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was your first acupuncture experience like, having read all about it and studied it and then actually having the experience?
I had a panic attack. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to let these people like stick needles in me? What the heck? And I think I cried because I was so scared of the needles, but they did. But I'm a sensitive person, like as far as it, like, that's why I don't tell people. I'm like, well, I don't tell people that it doesn't hurt because it can. It's not like giving blood though.
Yeah.
I was a little panicky, but after the needles were in, I felt pretty good. I was like, felt kind of floaty, and I don't know. My one friend, she always had this like effect on me. Like she always made me feel like this Pink Floyd song, Comfortably Numb. So I told her she should open up a practice called Comfortably Numb Acupuncture.
That's cool. I do Reiki, so I practice Reiki. So I feel like there's a lot of maybe overlapping, crossing in there, and I found that of desperation actually, because it was the morning of my album release show, and I woke up.
Yeah.
And I had no voice at all.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd been working for years for this night. Like I had people coming. I was like playing with my band. It was like a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so like I like did all the things like, gargling with salt water and like taking a steam shower, and went to the doctor and was like, can you please like give me a cortisone shot? And they were like, no, because that's too risky. We're not doing that. And so then, like, I remembered reading about Reiki.
Yeah.
And I looked online to some, like, random guy in the UK, and I paid the money, and I was like, okay, we're going to see if this works. I got to the venue that night, and I opened my mouth for sound check.
Yeah.
And I sang better than I ever have before in my life.
Gosh.
And people were like, that's the best that I've ever heard you. And it was very strange because my speaking voice was kind of raspy, but my singing voice was like solid and there.
Oh, that is so cool.
So that made me a big believer
in
Reiki, which made me, investigated practicing it because I wanted to share it.
That's so awesome. I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So do you have an experience kind of like that with acupuncture? Like, have you encountered any scenarios which don't logically make sense, but are pretty amazing, the effects that they've had?
Yes, but I can't talk about them. It's HIPAA. With me personally, with acupuncture, I mean, when I was in school, I had it for my asthma and my anxiety, because I was just, every time, like, this makes me nervous. Whenever I have to get tested, I'm a ball of nerves. So it was very instrumental in helping me, get tested. I can't say that, knock on wood, that it was ever like a magical thing, but it was like little miracles of it that kind of got me sold on it. But I don't think I ever had anything. Well, I mean, I did have something, but it wasn't that, but it wasn't the acupuncture that did it. But I've seen what it can do, and it's powerful. And so I'm also a chiropractor, and I shadowed a chiropractor, and what got me on that. Okay, I won't say who it is.
Okay.
But I shadowed this girl, and she just said, well, the best thing is when people get up off the table and they say, oh my God, I have no pain. And that to me is such, and maybe it's not like a miracle, but in a way, I think it is. That's the best, and they're like, okay, well, I think I'm good. I'll call you when I need to. It's like, yes, did good. So, yeah, I mean,
Like, did you ever have someone come into your practice? We
Yeah.
don't need to say who it is or anything,
Yeah.
but who maybe had run out of any other option in like traditional
Yeah.
like medicine and had an experience that changed their mind about?
Oh yeah. Medical doctors are actually the best ones for this. It's kind of cool because they're usually really open, but they're just a little bit skeptical, and it's just cool when you see that's like the clouds part, and they're just like, oh, okay. I don't know. It always makes it's just neat. It's neat to see. That's one of the reasons I do like to work with fertility, because so pain is really subjective, you know. And it could also just be like the fact that I like to be kind of goofy when I, and try and make people laugh a little bit. But either you're pregnant or you're not. There is no in between. Mm-hmm. So when you help somebody conceive, that is just cool. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's a miracle.
That's magical. Yeah, that's pretty magical.
Or when a parent's kind of given up with a kid. They have like autism, and quite frankly, I see more kids with autism for chiropractic because most kids don't like needles. I don't care.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, but I'm not saying it's not a cure-all, but it's like the parents are like, they've been a little bit more calm. They're eating a little bit better. They're going to the bathroom better. They're smiling more. Their eyes are better. So it's like it's shifting the clouds and it's allowing them. So I would say the two most magical things are with fertility and with kids on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. When you've had like medical doctors come in here,
yeah,
do they ever ask you like, how does this work?
Yep, all the time.
Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I give them two answers. I say, well, do you want the allopathic answer or do you want the TCM answer? And they're just like, both. So I give them the medical definition. I said basically what it does is it helps to stimulate the endocrine system and the nervous system so your body can function better. And they're like, okay, I understand that. And then I smiled, said, you want the real definition? And they kind of just, it's like a little slow smile. They're like, yeah, sure. Because by then they've sort of relaxed. And I'm like, okay. And then I talked to them about the chi. And they're just laughing, and they're just like, okay, let's try it, And it's cool to see the walls come down. I love when people's walls just come down. It's nice.
Yeah.
Because then they get to be authentic. They just, you hear a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's neat.
How would you explain like the energy centers and meridians?
Okay. Oh, boy. Oh. If my teachers are listening, I hope people do good. But
yeah, like so say like you're born into the world.
Okay.
Do you start out like a certain way and then as you go through life things change?
Oh, absolutely.
And so like when you do your thing and stick needles in people, we're trying to get back to our authentic kind of self, or no?
Well, so basically when you're born, you know how like your tongue is to the roof of your mouth? Kind of like the doctors have to like separate your tongue. They have to open up your mouth. They do that thing.
I don't know this, so go ahead.
Okay, well they do. And that's how the babies cry. Like they have to like have like stick their thing in and they just like open and then the baby cries. And
okay.
They can do that. So, but when you're inside your mom's tummy, the tongue is naturally to the roof of your mouth. Now, if anybody ever practices Tai Chi or Qigong, one of the things they have us do is stick the tongue to the roof of the mouth because that is how you can create your own chi. Very similar to Reiki, huh?
Yeah, I feel like I do that naturally.
Yeah, see,
Yep.
But you're pretty intuitive, so you know to do that. And acupuncture is just a tool, really. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to use stainless steel needles. You could use anything. Well, I mean, I don't recommend going to Michael's and getting on, but but it helps to just get the balance. And I remember learning that the meridians are like channels in the body, like riverway channels. So like water. And what you're doing is you're kind of restoring the flow of that water, so the rivers can kind of drain to each other without there any stoppages or dams. And that.
I see, yeah. And what are the kinds of things that cause those stoppages or dams?
Well, stress is a big one. I say that a lot. What we eating like cold ice cream on a freezing cold day, that can cause a blockage in your stomach. Trauma, like if you bang your arm, that can cause a blockage. Genetics, sometimes or people are more predisposed to it. Like if you have asthma, that, things like that, pre-existing conditions. Sometimes it's just a buildup of just, life happens, and pretty much anything, kind of the same ways like allopathic medicine. Like anything can make you sick, but I guess even viruses could cause blockage because they're kind of parasites, sort of.
Mm-hmm. And they have energy bodies as well, maybe. Yeah, no,
I was just thinking about maybe doing qigong. I wonder. I think they probably did that. I bet with monks doing qigong on virus cells on petri dishes. I wonder what that would do.
There's some research there.
Uh-huh. I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
So you mentioned eating ice cream on a cold day.
Yeah.
I know that there's other food factors.
Yeah.
That contribute to energy flow or whatever blockages might arise. So can you explain a little more about that?
Sure. Basically, first off, it starts off with you and your body and your constitution. And like some people can tolerate eating a lot of cold foods. Like me, I tend to be hot. Of course, I drink a lot of black coffee. So I need to drink foods that are a little bit more cooling, like peppermint tea. So I probably could eat something like ice cream on a cold day and be okay. But so you really have to take what your body can do into consideration. But there are certain foods that typically are more likely to kind of trip us up. And one of them is going to be like really cold foods. Foods that are like ice cream, drinking something like ice water, too much of it.
Yeah, that's hard for me. Yeah.
A little bit's fine, but it's all moderation. Fried greasy foods, obviously fake foods, and raw uncooked vegetables, oddly enough. So yeah, I was like, okay, but there's always ways you can modify it. Like say I think salads are very healthy, but you just add certain herbs to it and it warms it up. Or you have with some rice, or people that eat meat, you could eat chicken that warms it up, because chickens are like hot animals because they flap their wings a lot. Which, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I don't eat them anyway. So.
I know, but now I feel bad.
Yeah, and I think our body kind of intuitively knows what we need, but we don't pay attention to it a lot of the time.
No, I think we're just kind of bombarded with a lot of advertisements, and we're kind of on the go. And that's another thing, is we don't chew our food. I remember one of my teachers saying there was this saying that said the stomach has no teeth, so you should chew your food. So if you gulp your food down real fast and you don't savor your meal, you'll get an upset tummy.
So more mindful eating.
Yeah.
Actually taking the time to sit down and enjoy the food, which is one of the very few things we can enjoy right now during COVID time.
I know.
And what do you feel about things coming out like the Beyond Burger and Impossible Meat, which is kind of like a replica of meat, but not really anything but a bunch of chemicals?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd really want to eat it very often, but I think every once in a while, maybe I used to be a vegetarian, but sometimes you just want that experience. Mm-hmm. If you want the burger and you want the French fries, is it healthy? I don't think it's healthy, but is it going to hurt you if you have it every once in a while, like a treat? It's fine, because a lot of us grew up with burgers and French fries.
Right.
And it's that brings back on some level childhood memories. Maybe we, I don't know, went to McDonald's and had the Happy Meal or whatever. But I don't know, maybe it's just, if it gives you that, then I don't really see there's anything wrong with it. Anything in moderation, it's probably healthier than McDonald's. Sorry, McDonald's.
That's okay. We're not getting sponsored by them or anything. So.
Okay, good. But I just don't. I think it just depends on what you're doing. It's just enjoy it. and mindfully eat it and enjoy, you know. I think if you're gonna like, it's better to, I don't, in my opinion, it's better to be grateful for, even if something's junk food. Maybe you'll, on some level, if you enjoy it, it won't affect you as badly than health food that you're upset about, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like a balance of
right
energy.
Exactly. You know, again, like with the Impossible Burgers, I think there's worse things that you could eat. I mean, I think probably organic beef, farm raised, is probably healthier, but to somebody whose heart is like, no, that goes against what's in my heart, then don't eat the beef, eat the Impossible Burger.
So okay, let me see if I can form this question in the way that I want to ask it. That it makes sense. So everything has energy.
Yeah.
And everything that we put into our body that we eat has an energy to it.
Yeah.
And so how does meat affect our body when we eat it, since it has an energy attached to it in like relation to Chinese medicine?
Well, it's helpful in a lot of ways. And I'm saying this as somebody who used to be a vegan. And if I probably wasn't doing what I did, I probably would go back to being a vegetarian, because that's what I really ultimately want to do. But I did have brain surgery, so my blood sugar is wonky as anything.
Oh, wow.
I'm okay. But I've noticed that if I eat beef, not chicken, because I don't like to eat chicken. Chicken makes me sick. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to eat chicken. But I'll eat beef because I notice that makes me feel better. It can nourish you much faster than vegetables if you're very, very depleted. If somebody came in and they were very fragile and very sick, a lot of times I'll say, what is your diet? Are you a vegetarian or are you a vegan? Because I'm not going to say, oh, you can have this beef. Even if it's like almost like you can almost immediately see the flush of color because it builds blood. You know, think it's blood. I'm sorry, but it's bloody, and I just I don't like to think about it, and I always try and thank God for the animal and try and make sure, because you never know unless you kill it yourself. But
right. Yeah.
So it can really nourish you quickly, but you just have to get creative with the vegetables. That being said, here's another theory that I was sort of wondering. There's a lot of I don't want to get preachy, but sometimes I think there's a lot of meanness. And this is what got me to be a vegetarian when I was 14. And the way animals are treated. Mm-hmm. I won't get into it, but sometimes I wonder, are we taking their fear and their pain?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking you. Are we putting that into our bodies?
I on some level I'm concerned about that, because I definitely believe that they're like conscious beings. So it's a hard one, because I do believe that we are. But I also believe that if you're physically more delicate, that it can give you it can make you a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, in moderation. I don't think you should just be eating steak after steak after steak. I think that's crazy, but I do notice a little bit of, I wonder about that, because I don't know. I mean, there's nothing in Chinese medicine that would say that. Quite the opposite, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was like, a lot of people that were in my school, they're like, oh yeah, meat. And I'm just like, you guys are just making excuses. So I really don't know, because I've never been to China, but.
Well, they do eat meat in China.
Yeah.
And some that we don't eat here.
Right. But is it really any different? It's still the same result. The animal's still.
Right.
Why is a dog better than a cow when you think about it? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if I'd really want to bring a cow into my house, but but they still have feelings.
Oh yeah.
So I see both sides of it. So I know like it's very much accepted in TCM to eat meat.
Okay.
But I do agree with you that there is an energetic component, but they're also starting to see the plants are sort of sentient. Right. So,
like if you really
and I love
get down to it.
And I love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, hey, why not?
I had a thought and it went away.
Sorry.
But Lord of the Rings is great. Oh, so, I mean, we're designed to be able to eat meat.
Right.
By our nature.
Right.
So,
we can't.
Yeah, that's very interesting for me to think about.
But we're not carnivores. We're not like a cat. Cats are carnivores.
Right.
I mean, seriously, like, if you were to tell me to go out into the woods and go eat, we'll pick on Thumper because that would be easier, to eat. Seriously, we really couldn't eat. It would have to, I guess we could eat it raw, but it would be harder. We have to use our tools. So
right.
Cats just instinctively just.
True.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm a pescatarian.
Okay.
And part of it is like I love sushi too much, so I don't do that.
Sorry.
But also I feel like if I was on a deserted island by myself and I needed to survive, that I could probably manage to go fishing and, be able to stomach eating that.
Yeah.
I think.
Hopefully you'll never have to find out.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I am.
I guess the one thing it taught me was everybody is on their own journey. And when I was a vegan, I saw different people, and it's just view them people with compassion because not everybody is ready. First off, not everybody is ready to sacrifice. And not everybody is ready to find out what's really going on. Because it's like that movie, The Matrix.
Yeah.
It's like they're just not ready. And it's frustrating because you just want to be like, just look, take the red pill, or look behind the curtain like in The Wizard of Oz. But it's like if they knew what was going on, that would just destroy them.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that, have you ever experienced a patient kind of like opening their third eye in a way?
Yep. Yeah. The one point between your eyebrows, yin song, yeah. I've had one patient, she says, I see indigo. And I'm like, you do? That's so cool. And they've noticed that they get more intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just always neat.
Have you experienced that yourself? Like when you're working on a patient. Is that a correct term, working?
Yeah.
Working on a patient?
Sure.
Like in your lab? No. Can you, as you were putting the needles in and balancing the energy centers, can you feel the energy coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, whenever I work on people, I'm always doing Qigong because I need to make sure I don't catch their energy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
I can. And sometimes it's funny when I'm really caffeinated and hyper. You guys will get up off the table being caffeinated and hyper because our energies do exchange. And it's neat. It's usually very cool.
Wow. So taking that concept, I feel like our energies everywhere are always exchanging with each other. So
always.
We don't really have an energy that is completely our own. We're all kind of part of the same energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're all connected. And I think a lot of the religions will kind of verify that,
in their own way.
You just have to kind of remove some of the BS from them. It's like it's all connected. And that's kind of cool.
Do you feel that being in a place where people have more conservative views?
No.
It's more difficult?
No, not at all. What I have noticed in the past few years, I don't want to get political because, I wish liberals and conservatives would just sit down and talk because I feel like most people would have more in common than they realize. They just have different things, But whatever. I really feel like with conservatives, they're very interested in natural health care. That libertarian influence, where it's like, hey, kind of the rebels are like, shh. Which is actually, I think I'm kind of more like a green libertarian. It's like, leave my trees alone. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
But no, I really feel like they're much more into that. Like, it's even with the Christianity, it's just basically restoring what God has created. And you don't have to have a medicine to do it. And it's gentle. And even like they're getting more interested in things like yoga because I think people are starting to they're like, oh, wait a second. Yes, it is union, but I don't have to unite with a Hindu god. I can unite with my God. And
Right. There's more to it than just like green juice and yoga pants. Right.
Exactly. It's yoga pants. Oh gosh. Okay, that's evil. No joke. Sorry, I'm sorry. As you can tell, I like black, but little Lydia. But no. But in all seriousness, though, it's they're open. I don't think it's like in like how it was in the movies or in Footloose, where they're just like, no. I'm seeing a lot of that on the liberal side where they're like, no. And I'm just like, well, dude, I might agree with you, but I'm going to go party over here with these people.
Like, you're turning into the thing that you were hating.
Yeah. George Carlin even said it. Like, how do people go from just do your own thing to just say no? What happened? But in all honesty, it's just, I don't know. And I can't say like I agree with everything that my conservative patients and friends think, but boy, there's enough where they've taught me a lot and we can find common ground. And I will say, like, I learned a lot by working in a conservative town, and it opened my heart in so many ways.
Yeah, I can say that being back here after being away for a while, it was challenging in a lot of ways that turned out to be very rewarding. Yeah. Because of the contrast.
Exactly. You realize people are just people, and really we have more in common than...
Yeah.
A friend of mine said, Tara LeDuc, I don't know if you want to give her credit, you can. She's been all over. And the one thing she's noticed is that if any culture you're in, if you're thirsty, people will give you a drink. If you're hungry, people will give you food. There is that level of caring. And I believe that.
Yeah.
I think I do. I mean, they got this stupid politics and blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. And politics can be fun. And they have some good political cartoons and stuff and skits or whatever on both sides. But I think it's just more about people like connecting. That's me.
I think so too.
I don't know if that's TCM, but
I think it can tie in there. Yeah. To, everyone having their authentic selves.
Yeah.
Having an influence on other people's authentic selves or something like that.
Yeah.
Our energies are exchanging. We'll go back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, have you ever been around somebody who was kind of like angry? You might tend to come off and you might kind of feel a little bit ticked off yourself.
Well, I am very empathetic, and so I pick up all kinds of things. And actually, whenever I came here the first time, and I can talk about me because it's HIPAA, whatever, but I had a lot of pent up things inside of me. And so I went home to where I'm staying with my parents to visit them for a while. Yeah. And my dad, said something, really casually that was not, anything. Right. And I burst into tears.
Aww.
And I cried and cried and cried and cried for, hours. I was like, wow, this is really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And those are miracles to me.
Mm-hmm. I think so. So I usually ask this question last.
Okay.
If your authentic inner voice had a billboard, what would it say to the world?
Okay, I'm not going to do anything sarcastic. Just breathe through this.
I like that.
Just because sometimes, whatever it is, and that's what I tell my daughter. Because I don't let her have, try not to let her have meltdowns anymore because she wants to be a teacher and just wait like every other teacher to have her meltdown in her chiropractor's office. But I tell her to breathe through it. And even when you're having a happy moment, you still need to breathe through it because it's it makes you appreciate it more. So it doesn't have to just be the traumatic ones. But I think now a lot of people are... And that's probably one of the reasons I laugh so much about my own, goofiness. I was talking about my lizard brain, my OCD, and all that funny stuff. Because I laugh. I think it's kind of funny. But, when something bad happens, you just have to breathe through it. Most likely, the worst of it's going to pass.
Yeah, don't forget to breathe.
Yeah, don't forget to breathe.
I think a lot of us forget to breathe when something comes up surprising or challenging.
Even when something good happens, I forget to breathe. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, okay. Like now I'm having a because I get nervous. I'm like, oh, breathe, Lisbeth, breathe.
You're doing fine. You're doing just fine. So if people would like to find your work or what you do on the internet or...
Well, the Saxonburg Acupuncture and Chiropractic. That's my website. I know I have like some videos on YouTube, which I'm so sorry because I am terrified doing them. I just want you guys to have good acupressure stuff. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'm in Saxonburg, probably at the coffee shop.
Okay.
Might work.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you're listening and you like what you hear, please consider subscribing and rating this podcast, as it really helps get this podcast out to other people who might be interested in hearing it but don't know about it yet. And also, if you'd like to contact me or reach me, you can reach me at unconditioningpodcast@gmail.com or unconditioningpodcast on Instagram. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay tuned in to you.